Let's retrace the main events in the audio frequency circuits. The microphone brings about a pulsating direct current. The transformer changes this to an alternating current. Vacuum tubes amplify this alternating current, which then goes to the modulator.
Molecules containing more than one atom can rotate and vibrate. Sometimes vibration is simple in form. We can see that each vibrational mode has a different frequency, and all of the patterns of vibration may be different. Each of the vibrations is a simple harmonic motion.
The same peaked wave triggers a pulse-forming circuit, which creates a new waveform, pulses with flat tops. Notice that throughout these changes, the exact subdivisions of our second in time have not been lost. We still have precisely the same number of positive peaks per second.
Pulsating direct current. Pulsating direct current.
If the sine wave's frequency is 1,000 cycles a second, we have actually divided 1 second into 1,000 equal parts. But in this sine wave, it's impossible to tell where each thousandth of a second begins and ends. That's why it's changed into this, a peaked wave, which can be measured from positive peak to positive peak.
Introducing the Dumble whose door is always open. Gandalf without the gray or the white because he's all black. Geordie LaForge captaining this enterprise. The Swag King with the crown, shout out to Sunday Swagger. The long-lost homie of Zach Morris and AC Slater, since y'all got jokes. Sweet Chocolate Jesus, as proclaimed by Roman of the Empire himself, and the man running up the chimney because he wants all the smoke. Let's talk about it. And here's your host, Left Eye E.G.O.
All right, guys, welcome to another evening of Left Eye at Night. Sorry, guys, it's been a long day. You guys know who I am, and I've got a very, very, very special guest, and I will be bringing him to the stage now. I'm going to give you guys just a little bit of an introduction to this man. He is a playwright, an author, and sometimes raver, winner of 4 awards that we know of thus far. He is the man, he is the raver, he is the author, he is Lance Steele. How are we doing, man?
I'm good, man. Thanks. What an introduction. Day raver, I think, would be the accurate because I only go to day raves. I don't go nighttime raving anymore. I'm too old for that.
Really? Day raves are a thing. I did not know that.
Day raves are massive. All
Really?
All the footage that I sent you earlier, they're all from day raves.
I was like, man, this has happened at least 2 or 3 in the morning. Like everyone's
No. The clubs are dark, but the lighting and everything all works. There's no daylight coming in, but yeah, they're all starting at like between midday and 2. And they're all finishing between 9 and 11.
That is awesome.
So they're nice because they're quite long, but they go They go too quick, though. I mean, we're all complaining it's over too soon, you know. But we'll come on to them later, I guess.
Okay, great. Like I said, there's a whole thing that we're doing in the United States that I've heard about too that will kind of be somewhat similar to that. But yeah, we'll talk about it, guys.
Sure.
You didn't even understate. I understated, Mr. Lance here. I have the official thing here. It's 4-time award-winning playwright, author, acting coach, and film director. Throughout his career, he's worked with some of the best British actors in the industry, including Jason Fleming of Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, Danny Webb, Duncan Powell, Lindsay Colson, Paul Copley, Alicia E.G.O, Will Johnson. He's also met Judi Dench from the 007 series that played M, I believe. Dennis Villeneuve, the director of Dune, and he worked with Justin Fleming of Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. So,
yeah,
quite a resume. So I'm gonna go ahead and just go ahead and get us into this, kind of with some current events before we jump into anything else.
Sure.
I know that AI has kind of been a big thing that people were talking about, and specifically this program called Sora. I'm not sure if you see it on here. Maybe here, did it bring it to come up? All right, yeah. Have you heard about Sora, or have you guys been talking about it or heard about it at all?
I mean, there's so much talk going on about AI, but I'm not familiar with particular software types. I do hear names being bandied about, but you might need to give me a bit more info.
Sure. No problem. From what I'm seeing and reading, it's basically you can. I know that for the funniest things that they've been doing things like they'll have George Washington wrestle Abe Lincoln, and I mean, it's incredibly lifelike. There's a few glitches, but it looks pretty advanced. The thing is that now people are actually kind of making short movies with the software, and I guess the issue now for people is that they're saying that they're using people's likenesses to actually create these AI generated images and clips. And now it's becoming, I guess, an issue with Hollywood. While some are deeming it as, disrupting the industry, other people are talking about privacy concerns. So I was just asking you, just in terms of AI in general, what are your thoughts or views on AI in the film and entertainment industry?
Sure. Well, two things here. First of all, just picking up on the historical figures issue.
Mm-hmm.
No one ever asked Abe Lincoln and George Washington whether it was going to be okay to make films about them in the future and documentaries about their lives, and that they've never had a say.
Right.
So I think for anyone to turn around in Hollywood and say, oh, somebody can't use AI to make a movie about historical figures, it's just another tool that's enabling someone to do that. Well, of course you can, because, I mean, Hollywood's been doing it from day one. So I think it's perfectly acceptable for someone to use a tool to create a movie about historical figures and creating those historical figures. Now, where's the cutoff limit? That's the question.
Okay.
I have no doubt that there are going to be AI films with an AI created Hitler on the way, and Stalin and other big characters, Mao Zedong. We're going to get all of those. So where's the cutoff point? For example, German actor Udo Kier passed away today.
Okay.
So when is the time gap going to allow? It's like the copyright of Beethoven. Beethoven music, I think, can be used by anybody now because it's beyond copyright. I think so. I'm not 100% on that, so maybe don't quote me. But there are certain things, because time has passed, that you're now allowed to use that music for free, or you're allowed to
open domain. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Right. So the question really becomes where actual people are concerned. It's historical figures. We're not talking about actors here. We're not talking about somebody recreating Tom Cruise in 100 years' time. That's a different ethical question entirely, because he's already in the industry. But somebody recreating, let's say, Bill Clinton in 100 years' time using AI software, is that acceptable? I would argue that it is, because we've already been using the tools of the future in the 60s and the 70s and the 80s to recreate stories about historical figures. So with the tools and technology that were available then, this is just the tools and technology that are available now. The second issue that you're really talking about is the copyright of the likeness of people that are already in the industry. In other words, somebody creating a film with Brad Pitt in it without actually using Brad Pitt. I'm totally against that. That's the plagiarism of a person's persona and skill set and likeness, and I just think that that's completely wrong. But we are coming to a time where a creative person like me, who has a very fertile imagination, and I have probably about 50 unsold scripts on my computer. You know, some people write 2 or 3 in their lifetime. I have literally written dozens, and they're all good. And it's going to get to the point where I, as a filmmaker, will be able to sit in front of my computer and create an entire film from start to finish by just using my computer. That's not a way I would prefer to make a film. I would prefer to get the money and go out and make it in a more traditional fashion. However, there's another part of me that's kind of relishing the freedom to be able to get on my computer and use some software and create something completely of my own, and be able to sort of start creating the scripts from scratch that I've got sitting on my computer that I haven't been able to sell anyone, not because they're not any good, but because I'm not at that level where I can get those meetings with those people that can make those things happen. It's very hard to break through that glass ceiling. I'm at the indie level, which is totally different. So, but I would not be using the likeness of people. I would be creating completely fictional people, characters with AI technology that would be original. They would not be based on any actor living dead or otherwise, you know. So so that's kind of how I feel. I feel like it's a tool that is going to be used, but it's got to be, how it's used and when it can be used needs to be regulated. That's where I'm with it, I guess.
That makes sense. If you mainly use it to kind of create the scenery and make your own original characters that aren't like anyone else on screen, it's just, hey, I'm making the story with what I have. I can use this software to make this story like this.
Yeah, I mean, somebody created a World War I short film. I don't know if you've seen it. They created a World War I short movie. It's about 5 minutes long, I think, and it's not technically completely proficient and accurate, and there's some glitches with the rifle types and stuff like this, and there's a lot of historical bean counters that are pointing out things that are wrong, but it's pretty damn good. You know, it feels like you're watching an actor expressing emotions, and it's not. It's an AI generating character, and I mean, it's pretty damn good. So if you're thinking this is where the technology is at now, I mean, in 5 years' time, probably not even that long, you're going to be able to create a movie on your computer to Steven Spielberg standards. You know? And
that's what I was thinking. I was like, I don't know if you're going to wind up needing a Hollywood studio in 5 years' time at the rate that it's going now. So I mean, that's I
think they've needed to change their business model for a long time.
Really?
Their business model's been broken for a long time. Producers and the top end, the above the line people take far too much of the slice of the pie on a movie. And you know, I could tell you stories about that, but we'll go down a whole other rabbit hole. Suddenly the interview's over. We've run out of time. So I'm going to be good today and try and keep my answers relatively focused, because I'm terrible for rambling. So
that's fine.
But the business model of Hollywood has been broken for a long time. So if AI comes in and sweeps up and makes things easier for a lot of people who actually couldn't get work before, I mean, I'm sorry, they've only got themselves to blame for that. So, but I mean, it's been the independents have been on the rise for a while. The studios have been making mistake after mistake after mistake. They've not been putting the right people in charge. You know, where are the auteurs of today? We've not got many left. We've got Quentin Tarantino, we've got Paul Thomas Anderson, we've got the Coen brothers. But these are people that are chucking out films every few years. They're not making movie after movie after movie. and rightly so, because they care about the films that they make. They want them to be good, and they want each movie to be different and to challenge you in a different way. So, you know, but I don't feel that the young Paul Thomas Andersons and the young Coen brothers and the young Quentin Tarantinos, they're not being supported.
Okay.
There are people that are going out there looking for talent for the wrong reasons. They're looking for people that fit a certain portrait that they want for the media to express is the new talent. They're not looking at what the talent's actually created themselves without any help whatsoever. I know so many independent filmmakers that have made feature film movies to a good standard with extremely limited resources. And if there had been any studio executives worth their salt, they would have snapped these guys and girls up a long time ago and gone to each of them, here's $250,000. Now go and make me another horror film like that one you've just done, or that like you've just done.
I see.
Let me see what you can do for 250 grand. Let me see what you can do for £2 million, and so on and so on.
Okay.
You know, small budgets, but you know, these are people that have created feature films for 50 to 100 grand on their own. And one of those. I'm one of those people. And this isn't just a plea to, you know, come and help out Lance. I'm telling you, there are literally hundreds of people like this out there. And you have people in America whose job it is to go around and look at football teams and scout the best players, right?
True.
And they scout the best players based on their performance and ability and what they see them do and what they see them achieve. And then they look at the potential for what they could achieve in the future. True. They're not looking to see what box ticks they get on gender, race, this, that, and the other, because that seems to be so at the forefront of
a lot of things
at the moment. And whilst I'm all for equality, and here we are on a panel where we're both of two different cultures and two different ethnic identities and stuff, but probably agreeing on this point, I would suspect.
Sure. Oh yeah.
That talent sometimes is lacking, and certainly I can think of lots of instances where people have not been helped that should have been, and I can also think of instances where people have been given amazing jobs, quite big leap from I've done this to now I'm doing this. And they really haven't done very well. It's a very sink or swim situation, and I think their transition should have been a bit slower and a bit more gradual.
Gotcha. Well, hold on one second. I know that we got that. Let me check in with the chat and see what they were saying about the article as well. Got Alex Ammunitioner. What's going on?
Yeah, I see. Hi, Alex. I see Shield Wall of Dragons. I know this guy because he's been popped up on my chat, I think, a few times.
Hey, Safin and Shield Wall. And yeah, so Shield Wall saying it'll be a thing in 10 years. Duke Devil said it's on AI.
I don't think it's going to take 10 years because I've seen people using software that's not out yet, but it is available within the industry, within the software industry, and what people are developing behind the scenes. I've seen some of it, and I mean, it's just incredible. Yeah, Woody Allen's another one. Gotcha. Love the
Shiro is my wife. She says she loves your photo. She loves.
Oh, thank you so much. I look really good in that photo, whereas in real life, maybe not so much. I don't know. Honey, dancing keeps me young. We'll get on to dancing later, but
honey, pay attention when he talks about raves. We might have to get on this. So now that we checked in with you in terms of the current events, let's get to know you a little better with some top 10 hits.
Sorry, just like a little dance there.
It's okay, guys. Top 10 hits is going to be 10 questions in kind of rapid succession that we ask Lance just to get to know him better. Shout out R to the Icky for this idea. Thank you so much, dude.
I'm sure you nicked that from my interview because I do like quick fire questions at the beginning of
my... Okay, I probably stole it from you too, then subconsciously.
That's good. That's all good, man.
All right. So first up, favorite color.
Oh God. At the minute, it is the
Okay.
green that you see in that picture of me raving that you've got on your poster. That green, and I
That
like
green.
that green on my shirts when I'm raving. Yeah. So
Okay, I'll take
I think
green.
you'd call it neon green.
I love it. See, you like the highlighter colors too. Awesome.
Yeah,
Favorite food.
I almost went black, which is so boring. But neon green on black is absolutely awesome. So
Awesome.
neon green on black, but neon green right now.
All right. So favorite food.
Oh, to cook, I like cooking Italian. To eat, I love a really good Indian curry.
Ooh, nice. Curry chicken or curry goat? Which one?
If I'm in Africa, I would go goat.
Oh, yeah, it's delicious.
But probably chicken over here because the quality of the goat in the UK is not very good.
Understood. So you win the lottery. Your first purchase is going to be what?
There's a flat currently in Walthamstow that's 1.2 million, and I would love to buy it straight away.
Oh, I love it. All right.
Yeah, it's got a really
holiday.
nice space for a movie room. It's just a 2-bedroom. It's not like excessively silly, but it's got good space for a games room, good space for a movie room.
Ooh.
So,
Okay. Favorite holiday?
Greece.
What is it?
Greece.
Okay. All right.
Greece as in the country, not the movie. And if you want to be specific, I could say Cyprus, which some people don't consider part of Greece, as a separate country. Paphos, Cyprus definitely was one of my favorite all-time holidays. But my first trip to Greece was really special, and of course that became the basis for my last feature film, that story. So
can't wait to talk to you about that too. In the Harry Potter franchise, I've had to ask this because, guys, I haven't seen Harry Potter. I've only seen maybe one or two. I haven't seen 7, but I always get this question. In the Harry Potter franchise, you belong to which house?
I belong to the house of I don't give a fuck, because I found the Harry Potter films really boring. I rewatched them actually recently, and I didn't care for them. I thought they'd aged pretty badly. I'm just not. I wouldn't say I'm not a Harry Potter fan. I think she's a genius. I think you know, the lady who wrote the books and created the world and created the characters. Absolutely genius. She's an amazing woman. I love her. I love the way she's very outspoken and sticks to her beliefs. And J.K. Rowling, I'm talking about. But I found the films had not aged that well, and I really like the first 2.
Okay.
But I don't care.
I'm going to talk to you about that off screen too.
Not the answer you wanted to hear, but
no, I appreciate you saying it because I'll have to talk to you about it later off screen. But yeah, one book to read for the rest of your life.
Well, what for me personally?
Oh, he's got it on.
Probably. I'd probably go for either And the Band Played On, which I've got, but I think it's in the other room.
Yeah.
Or A Bridge Too Far, which is also one of my favourite war films of all time.
I saw that in the book.
I've got to be careful because on YouTube we seem to be on quite a narrow window.
I'll hold on. What you call it? Better.
It's a new StreamYard thing.
Yeah, they've been updating things and make it very hard for you to change them unless you do it beforehand. I kind of left it.
I'm going to try and stay in the middle.
It's okay.
I'm watching on the other screen, which is a few seconds behind. It's all very weird and confusing.
It's fun. Anyway. So what movie to watch for the rest of your life?
One? Oh, God.
Just one. Gotta choose one.
Well, I consider it one film, so I'll pick the Lord of the Rings trilogy. It's one film, it just happens to come in 3 parts.
Fair point. Okay, nice play. Your celebrity doppelganger is?
Quentin Tarantino. I get asked if I'm him, like when I'm out clubbing, I get asked if I'm either related to him. I get it all the time. It's the chin.
No, it is the chin.
Yeah.
Who's been the source of your inspiration when it comes to movies?
Most consistently in my life would be actor Jason Fleming.
Wow.
There's quite a few different people at different times. Richard Burton was the first actor that I was really into, that I really sort of got into acting because of him, and also partly movies because of him, and we'll talk about him again later because we're going to talk about one of his movies. So he was the first actor I really followed. David Niven was another one because he looked just like my dad. So kind of every time I saw David Niven on the screen, I was always like, Dad, there you are in another movie, you know. Yeah.
Okay, I got
Gale Ann Hurd. Producer Gale Ann Hurd would be another one for sure.
All right. And so I'm going to make this very hard on you here. We're going to do keep, delete, or watch again for the first time. Trilogy edition. We've got Lord of the Rings, Back to the Future, and Star Wars. Which one would you keep?
Which,
so out of these
watch again for the first time.
Yeah.
Probably Lord of the Rings.
Okay.
Delete is so hard because these are three of the best. I mean, these probably are the three best trilogies of all time, I think.
Yeah.
Arguably. I can't think of another trilogy that would beat these. So I don't know. I mean, delete. I don't know. God, probably Back to the Future because that's the one I would go back and watch. I've seen it about 10 times now, including all three of them at the cinema in 70mm together at the same time. I don't think I need to do them again. I probably will at some point, so that'd be that.
I got you. I wanted to make it a little tough on you there too. So
that was tough. Wow. Hey, Proctofile, that's one of my mods from my channel. Yeah, I am in fact Quentin Tarantino. We're just pretending I'm someone else.
I guess. And here we go. So I'm gonna jump into this. And guys, if you have not, we're going to be referencing pretty much everything from Silver Screen's Journey, Lance's book. This was phenomenal, guys. This was phenomenal. I know it's a bit hefty, and I am a slow reader. And
the critical drinker did the forward. Look.
Yes. And guys, you all know me. I am a proud member of the Gaston Literary Academy, where we say,
"Can you read this? There's no pictures."
Okay.
I love that. How can you read this? There's no pictures.
It took me a while to do this, but Lance definitely has pictures in here. Some of them are actually really great models on here, and some of the people he's met. So everything we'll pretty much be referencing for the most part is in this book, but definitely pick it up. All right. So first thing we've got.
You should get my latest book, which is this one.
We're definitely talking about that.
We'll mention that. This book, by the way, is outselling all of my other books.
Really?
Yeah.
All right, guys. I'm gonna try to find the link for the book in the chat and send it to you guys as well.
I can get you that while you're asking me stuff.
Please do. That'll work. Thanks.
I'll get the American one.
Thank you, sir. All right. So, guys, the first thing I'm gonna ask Lance here is. Regarding, I think it's a musical you saw in 1968. It was Oliver the Musical.
Well, the film came out in 1968. I saw it in the 70s. It was probably around 76.
76. Okay.
You're talking about Oliver the Musical.
Yeah, the musical, right. So
we should probably explain that Silver Screen Journey's the book we just showed.
Oh, yeah. Go right ahead. Yeah.
It's a list of 125 plus movies. I think there's about 128 in it altogether. And it's when and where I saw the movie, how the movie impacted me at the time, what I thought of the movie, how the movie impacted my life going forward, if at all, and sort of what the film means to me now, and also the kind of the specific childhood memories I have of that film. So it's not just 125 film reviews. I do talk about the film, I do review the film, but it's 125 personal memories attached to those movies. And my hope with the book is that not only will you get a recommendation of a load of great films to watch, but it'll also connect those memories for some of those films for you. So that's it's quite a unique book. I don't think anyone's ever written a book quite like it.
I don't think so either, especially when I was looking at some of the recommendations on there. I was like, you've at least convinced me to watch at least 3 movies, I will say, and watch this. And guys, I'm going to put Lance's book in here as well. His latest book.
That's the link. Yeah, that's the link for the raving one. Obviously, if you're watching from America, order my books on Amazon.com. If you're watching from the UK, .co.uk.
All right. So regarding starting off with Oliver, the musical. So, you told us this early experience showcased the true skill of a brilliant filmmaker. You told us this early experience showcased a true skill of a brilliant filmmaker is to draw you into the story and make you want the same needs as their protagonist. In regards to that, what was the last movie that made you feel that way?
Yeah, I mean, I just saw the re-release of the 40th anniversary of Wild Geese. So, I mean, technically it would be that. But that's a bit of a cheat because that's a old film. I mean, of the new releases, I mean, the last film I saw before that at the cinema was Predator Badlands, but I can't say that. Whilst I didn't like that film as much as some people, and there was a lot about that film I really liked, but there was a lot about that film that really annoyed me. So it was a difficult movie, that, because there was some great stuff in it, really great stuff, some really great ideas and concepts, and then there was a lot of executives arguing around a table about, we've got to have this in the movie. There was a lot of that going on.
But so for the most part, it sounds like it was Wild Geese for you.
Yeah, I mean, it would be, but that just feels like a cop-out answer. But yeah, I mean, the last film I saw at the cinema was that, and that was the last film that made me feel that way. But I have seen some really good television dramas that have got me quite invested. I've just started watching Mr. Mercedes with the wonderful Brendan Gleeson because it's just dropped on Netflix. I'm pretty interested in that. And I'm pretty in there. It's a story of two protagonists. One is a serial killer. The other is the retired cop who was trying and failing to catch him. And I'm invested in both characters. Not invested in the sense that I want the serial killer to succeed, but I'm very invested in him as a character because he's so interesting. It's such a clever show.
And it's a Stephen King novel, correct?
That's right. Yeah, it's based on.
Oh wow! Okay, I'll be checking that out. Okay,
I'm hoping it's one of those TV shows that doesn't like screw the pooch on the third season or something. But I'm really enjoying it so far. So that's a good example of something more recent.
Okay, so I'm gonna add this to my list then as well. All right.
But Oliver the musical got me in that way, really, really young. I mean, I was young when I saw that. I was like 4 or 5 years of age. It was the first film I ever got taken to see at the cinema. And I remember, what's his name? Oliver Reed's character in it played Sykes. God, he scared the living shit out of me as a kid. Absolutely terrified me. And so you really cared about Oliver. You wanted him to, have that loving family and all of that. And I really cared about him. And but I cared about the Artful Dodger as well because his character was kind of cool, and we all knew a naughty boy like that at school, So I found the whole thing very relatable with its themes of family and kind of lost at sea, and and these naughty characters and these potentially evil characters lurking in the shadows. I mean, it's when you think that it's a musical, but it's also just brilliant. I mean, it's a great piece of filmmaking. Fantastic.
Nice. Okay, nice. Gonna skip ahead to a movie that gave you the acting bug. So you mentioned this movie and it gave you the acting bug. Why was this film so influential to you, and why don't you explain to everyone what that film is that gave you the acting bug?
The movie that gave me the acting, you're talking about Star Wars, right?
Yes, sir. Star Wars.
Yes. I mean, this is a funny story. I was determined however old I was like 6 or something, that we should create Star Wars on stage in my house.
Oh my Lord.
With my friends. And I remember it all fell apart when we were trying to work out how to recreate the Death Star chase scene. And, we started making all these costumes out of cardboard, like cereal boxes, breakfast boxes.
Yeah.
You would turn them inside out and cut stormtrooper masks out of the cardboard, sort of really badly shaped.
Oh wow, okay.
Poked eye holes in. I mean, they didn't look like the Don Post masks of the 501st. Let's put it like that. But that really that film made me not just want to become an actor. I became interested in Star Wars. It was like amazing storytelling. I'd never seen anything like it. I am of the generation of kids who went to see Star Wars at the cinema. We queued round the block. It was that hot summer. You got it in 77, but I think we got it in 78. We got it a bit later than you because stuff didn't open simultaneously back then. There was between 6 months to a year. So we got it in the summer of 78. So, I was really young when I saw it, but God, it just completely blew me away. And not only did I want to act, because I thought, wow, if these guys are actors and as actors, they get to run around corridors and fire laser guns at robots and shit. That's what I wanted to, because I saw that and I saw The Spy Who Loved Me around the same time. And The Spy Who Loved Me had, Roger Moore running around corridors with machine guns, killing guys in orange jumpsuits. And I thought that seems like a good job. So I was kind of interested in acting, but also interested in storytelling because I was so pulled into those stories, and I wanted to have adventures like Luke Skywalker. And anyway, we never did manage to quite recreate Star Wars on stage in my house. That kind of all didn't happen, but that was the film that definitely started it. Yeah.
I gotcha. All right. So on to the movie that you said was like one of the best ever for you, and almost the one film that you could watch for the rest of your life, The Wild Geese. So how did this movie get you interested in discovering your African roots, and how did you find out about your heritage?
Okay, so I've got a picture of the wild geese there for you if you want to put it up. Hey, there's Rebel Rose, another one of my. So this is a British action movie. It's just had its 40-year anniversary. I just got to see it at the cinema the other week. In fact, we talked about it on my channel about 50 times lately. And so I'm quite happy to talk about it again on someone else's channel. And it featured 3 of my favourite actors of all time, which is Richard Burton, Roger Moore, and Richard Harris, who are all in this photograph. And of course, I'd seen Roger Moore in a couple of Bond films at this time.
Oh yeah.
I remember that the first conversation about me being adopted, because I didn't know I was adopted until around the time I saw this movie, came about because of this film, because I wanted to know more about Africa because I didn't understand the politics that surrounded this story. These 50 mercenaries basically go in to rescue a deposed African president in order to get hold of him and rescue him for these British financial businessmen who are trying to get the copper rights for his country. And they figure if they have him and he's the rightful leader of the country, they'll be able to depose the other guy who's in power and get the mining rights. And but a deal is struck during the mission, and the mercenaries get betrayed, and they have to fight their way out of Africa. So this was the first time as a kid I'd ever seen a film set in Africa, and suddenly I think the conversation about my adoption had come up once before, around the time just before this movie came up, and my mother said to me during one of the advert breaks, "Oh, your mother was from South Africa." So we had already had the conversation about I was adopted and I had a different mum, because that conversation came about as a result of me saying, "Why don't I look like you? Why do I look like Quentin Tarantino?" kind of thing. I didn't know who he was then, of course. Great foresight on my part to say that as a 10-year-old, but she mentioned I was South African, and again, this film was all set in Africa, and I started getting quite interested in African politics as a result of this movie. And also, this film was made at the height of apartheid,
Yeah.
And then there was an excellent documentary on the BBC about apartheid that showed what it was like to live in Africa from 4 different characters' point of view. 2 black people living in the townships, one of whom worked as a cleaner for a white family. And it showed the white family, the father, the daughter, the mother, and then also the boyfriend of the daughter, who was a police officer. And I always remember one sentence from that documentary, right?
Mhm.
I'm going to tell it to you now,
Go
which was the filmmaker saying to the white Afrikaans father, so what would you do if your daughter, for example, wanted to go out with a black guy? Oh, no, that would not happen. Because you see, their culture is so different from us. It's not a question of him being black. It's not a racist thing. It's because their culture is so different from ours. It just would not work because of the culture difference. And I was sitting there as a 10-year-old thinking, God, this guy's proper racist. Even at that age, I could understand what was going on there. I thought this culture thing was a load of bollocks. You both live in the same country, don't you? One of you lives in a big house, the other one lives in a poor house. That's the main difference. And so, yeah, I mean, that documentary really got me interested in apartheid. And then, of course, you know, a few years later, you had like Richard Attenborough's amazing Cry Freedom with Denzel Washington. Don't know if you've seen that movie.
Yeah, I heard about that. Yeah, Cry Freedom. Yes, yeah.
That's just an incredible film about Steve E.G.O. And,
Okay.
yeah. So, but the Wild Geese is what got all that started, and it's also for your American viewers who've never seen it. It's probably one of the best British action films ever made. The first 20 minutes is a little bit dated, so you know, stick with it. Once you get to Africa, the movie's amazing.
Picks up. Okay.
Really,
check
really
that
good.
out.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, speaking of Richard Harris, you actually met him. Maybe you
I
don't.
did. Yeah.
Yeah, you actually wound up meeting him at some point. So for the rest of us, asking the question, how do you summon the courage to approach your idol and just talk to them?
I was in the pub with actor Jason Fleming, who, for all intents and purposes, by the way, is now my next of kin, and his sons will inherit all my work when I've gone. So he's got 2 twin boys, Jason had been in a play called Antarctica, and we'd been to see it. And most of the cast went to the pub afterwards, and there's a pub called the Coal Hole, which is attached to the Savoy Theatre. It's right next door. And Richard Harris spent the last few years of his life living in an apartment in the Savoy Hotel. And he had a very nice suite there. And he used to go and sit in the pub. And he'd just come from a premiere of the Harry Potter movie. So he was with 5 people that I think worked on the film. They weren't other cast members. They were production people, I think. And maybe, you know, I think it was like a granddaughter of his or something. So he wasn't on his own. And I sort of said to Jason, I went, that looks just like Richard Harris over there. God, he looks just like him. And Jason went, that is Richard Harris. He's often in here. And it's not. Oh, I've got to go and talk to him. And I think the thing that gave me the courage was because I had not long, this was in the early 2000s, this happened, and I had not long hired a movie theatre to show the Wild Geese for my 30th birthday. I'd never seen it on the big screen. I'd only seen it on TV. So I wanted to see it on the big screen. So I hired out a movie theatre. I didn't tell any of my friends what they were coming to see. I just said, it's my birthday party. You're coming to see a surprise film. I can't afford the movie theatre during the day, so you've got to turn up at 10 o'clock in the morning. That's the only time I can afford to hire the theatre. So they were most displeased with me because a lot of them were hungover from the night before, but they did turn up. And 50 of them came and watched the movie. And that had happened about a year before this, maybe a year or 2 before this. So my opening line to Mr. Harris was, I can remember exactly what I said. I said, Mr. Harris, I'm so sorry to interrupt your drink, but I hope you don't mind me saying that The Wild Geese is one of my favourite films of all time. It's actually one of the reasons I became a filmmaker. And I also hired a cinema to show it for my birthday to 50 of my friends not that long ago. And thank you so much for having that influence on my life. And he sort of sat back and looked at me and didn't say anything for a second. And then I said, I would offer to buy you a drink, but I see you've already got one. And he said, thank you so much for saying that. That really means a lot to me. And that was kind of it, you know. And I said, well, I don't want to disturb you any further. You're with people. Just wanted to say that. And I think if you're really polite, and this is pre-selfie, days. And I think
yeah.
even if
Wow. Okay.
even if it had been now, I don't think I would have asked for a picture because
Okay.
he was with people, and I think it's a bit rude. You know, it's like if you see an actor in a restaurant eating with their family, you don't go up to them. And I wouldn't have done if he'd been in a restaurant. But this was a pub, so it was a bit different. It was a bit more casual. But I made it as very quick and polite as possible. But I thought this might be the only time I see him. And as it turned out, it was. And he passed away about a year later. So I was so glad I did it and didn't hesitate. There have been other actors I've seen on the street that I wanted to go and say hello to, one of whom was Robert Vaughan. And Napoleon Solo from Man from U.N.C.L.E. and he was in a production. He was in a production of 12 Angry Men in London, and we'd gone to see it, and he didn't perform that night because he was ill. But the following night, I was in with my then partner, and we were walking through Covent Garden, and there he was with his bouncer coming towards us, and I, oh my God, there's Robert Vaughan. And the reason I didn't approach him was he looked so frail, and he was even holding his bouncer's arm. And he just looked very frail and very delicate. And I just thought, I don't want to impose. You know, I could tell where he was going. He was going to the Ivy restaurant from the theatre, which is basically walking distance. You wouldn't take a taxi. It's 150 meters, you know.
Oh, not too far away.
But I regretted it. I regretted it because that was my one chance to say something to him, and I didn't take it. And maybe I should have done. I don't know. But, you know, it was like I said, he looked a bit frail. So.
Okay. All right. So I was reading further on here, and you mentioned 2 franchises that you would love to get your hands on, and one of them is Terminator. The other is Studio 54. So I wanted to ask you, if you had a choice, would you rather be able to reboot the Terminator franchise with the movie, or be able to do a documentary of your own take on Studio 54?
Well, okay, so I've got to qualify this a little bit before I answer it, so I don't get crucified by your chat or indeed anyone else. First of all, I wouldn't want to reboot the Terminator franchise. My issue with Terminator was Terminator 3. Terminator 3 should have been the last Terminator movie. It should have been set entirely in the future, and it should have ended with Michael Biehn going back in time, closely followed then by Robert Patrick's Terminator, so that you're bookending the whole trilogy with the whole cycle starting again. And I had a whole story written for Terminator 3, and it was the attack on Skynet. And on one of my favorite YouTubers channels, I don't know if you know Retro Nerd Girl.
Sounds familiar. I think I've seen her.
Yeah, she's a good friend of mine, and we did a whole thing on her channel about what Terminator 3 could have been, and I said, "Oh, let me come on because I've got a whole synopsis." And I pitched it. I did the whole thing. I didn't pitch it to Gail Ann Hurd when I interviewed her on my channel because I thought that would have been a bit rude. But I was very frustrated with that third Terminator film, and it just was boring. They were just doing the same thing again, and I thought, no, you know, this is a trilogy. And the ending all has to be set in the future. And it needs to be the attack on Skynet, how Skynet was defeated. And I had a whole script for how they did this coordinated action where they took the power out of the main big Skynet defense system. And, you know, then you had your kind of team of Marines going in. It was a bit like the film Aliens, really. And you had all these different types of Terminator type defenses within the factory that was developing the new Terminators, and so they had to destroy the production line on the way in, and there were all kinds of different types of hunter killers and you know, various things that killed off different members of the squad. But eventually they got there, and the last 2 people to survive was one of the other heroes, and the hero that sent Michael Biehn then, you know, back to the past. They get there just in time to see the Terminator going back into the past to kill.
That would be cool.
And so he quickly offers to follow, and you know, and then they find another room beyond that one where the Robert Patrick Terminator is being developed, and they get through that door just in time to see that happening, and then they then send the Arnold Terminator after him, and that's the end of the movie.
like that.
And it covers
Okay.
everything that happens in Terminators 1 and 2. So if I could, I would do that. Studio 54 is not a documentary. I'm a big fan of the movie, but I think there's a worthwhile drama series there, like a 10-part, 1 hour, to be made about a true story drama about all the main people that were regulars or whatever, and follow the various lives, including, of course, Steve Rebell.
Like a limited series run.
Limited series, yeah.
That'd be nice. Okay.
Yeah, I think that would be really good. And you know, if I could go back in time to one place and have a party, it would definitely be there on New Year's Eve, like New Year's Eve 1979, Studio 54. Yeah, or 1980, something like that.
Nice.
So I mean, but if I could only make one of those, I'd probably do the Studio 54 one, because the problem is the Terminator world has been too polluted by too many duff movies and spin-offs and things, some of which have just not really worked. There's been I quite liked that animated thing that came out. That was quite good.
Okay, check that out too.
Yeah, but you know, I think it would be a bit weird to suddenly come in and say, "Hey, this is the proper Terminator 3, and here it is," even though it would be good.
True.
Maybe I'll make that on my own with AI when I've mastered the use of AI. So I'll make it my own and send it out, and then I'll get sued. But, you know,
but they don't have to watch and be like, "This is awesome."
I just make it just for Cameron and Gail and Hurd, and just say, "Look, this is what I would have done. Here it is. It's only for you to watch."
All right, it'd be awesome. Yeah, please, if you do want to do that, let me know. I want to be in there and watch it, because that would be. I like your way of the ending, because that'd be great, closing the story out and rounding it out. So for a lot of people that may not know this, Lance had a serious incident in 2004. And if you are okay reliving the incident, can you go ahead and let us know what happened and how you were able to get around that?
You can see on my, hang on, let me get the center of the screen here. You can see on my thumb here, I've got a kind of a scar and an indentation, if you can see that. And you see part of my skin kind of goes white and stuff. So
yeah,
that happened at the same time. I had a septicemia blood infection. It caused all these blood clots all around my body, right? And it got misdiagnosed at first. So I collapsed. I had a stroke, which is why one side of my mouth is slightly lopsided, and ended up in hospital. I was ultimately there for about 3 months. I was in a coma for quite a long period of time. I was in they had to put me in an induced coma for quite a while. And I had 2 blood clots in my brain. I had one the size of a 2p piece, which is this big. There we go. And then I had one the size of a golf ball, which is considerably bigger than a 2p piece.
Considerably.
And the golf ball one was on the part of my brain where your long-term memory kind of stores, or the section between the short and long-term memory. So I've got a scar similar to this one on my thumb, but much bigger, a bit like the Grand Canyon kind of thing, in my brain, where that section of my memory is. And I was very, very lucky. I mean, I nearly died in there a couple of times, and I got put on this experimental drug trial from America purely by chance. That was so lucky. I've been in there for 3 months at this point, and they were going to have to drill a hole in my head, and it was like chance of brain damage, 25%. Or chance of fatality like 7% or something. This all sounded like a pretty horrible die roll on 2d10 that I wasn't looking forward to doing. And then this doctor came around, and my a relative of mine happened to be visiting at the time, and this doctor had trained this relative as a nurse when they were younger, and they were like, "Oh my God, you're related to Mr. Nielsen, right? Well, I'm going to get him on this drug trial then." And next thing I knew, I got put on this drug trial, and within a week of that, the swellings in my brain had gone. It took me quite a while to rehabilitate, because I couldn't walk properly for 2 or 3 months, and yeah, it was pretty bad. That was one of my 9 lives right there, and 10 years of my memory had gone completely. Everything from 95 till about 2005. There's 2 plays in my portfolio that I can't even remember directing. I can't picture any rehearsals. I can't picture any performances. I mean, I've got the brochures for them, but I can't remember anything. I've got no specific memories about those shows. Whereas I've got memories of being on a film set in 92. But 10 years, that 10 years is just, it's all gone, really. So
I mean, wait, what was your recovery from all that like? No, it couldn't have been easy.
It was pretty slow, and I had to take it easy for a while. I didn't direct for about 2 years. I also found that my filter this is going to explain a lot for people that watch me on YouTube. My filter had completely gone. So the way most people's brains work is you think about something you're going to say, and then you decide if you should say that or not, and then you kind of modify it, and then you speak. Whereas I would just say the first thing that came into my fucking head every single time. And I just suddenly realized, my God, my brain is not working the same way it did before. I'm not having that normal process of let me think before I speak. So I had to kind of retrain myself to do that. And I'm pretty good at it most of the time, but not all the time. So yeah, it was, and I mean, there were some lifetime consequences. My depth perception is all wonky, so I can't drive a car, so I can't hold a driving license, which in London is not a big deal. But if I lived in the country, it would have been a big problem.
Bigger issue.
You need a car then to get around. So thank you, Proctor, for that. So there was that. There was also I had some blackouts occasionally. My sense of balance wasn't good. I couldn't skateboard anymore. I was skateboarding until pretty late in life, and I couldn't stay on my skateboard. Just couldn't. I tried to retrain myself to do that in my 40s. Actually, I bought a new deck and everything. Jason Fleming's sons have now got my skateboards, but so there were a few consequences, but I'm still alive, so there we
Very
are.
true, very true. Honestly, I can relate to the depth perception and balance issue, so we're definitely brothers in that one.
It's not stopping me from dancing on a podium on stage at the minute, so maybe I'm
So one thing I was checking out here, you said you were in LA for a few months, looking to write for Seth MacFarlane's Family Guy. How did it even pop up? How did that happen?
Okay, so I mean, and anybody that's working on the production of Family Guy will say, "Who the fuck's this guy? I've never heard of him," and that'd be completely true. So, because I didn't even get in the front door. What happened was there were 2 shows I really wanted to work on, either as a writer or as a director, right? Okay. And those 2 shows, and they were both on at this time, were ER.
Oh yeah. Okay.
I absolutely loved that show. I thought it was some of the best writing, character arcs. It was just a brilliant show. It was such a different, you think about the old hospital dramas and you think General Hospital. We've got kind of something like General Hospital. It's called Casualty. And then you have ER, which is like, General Hospital on steroids and cocaine. It's just in your face. This is what it's really like in a hospital. I just thought it was incredible television, and I thought this is the kind of stuff, this is the level, this is the quality I want to work on. This is the kind of stuff I want to make. These are the sort of stories I want to tell. So I got these agents in the UK. I think they were called Johnson and Johnson. No relation to the characters in Die Hard. And I took them on specifically to get me work in LA, because I knew I was going to go and visit LA, and I was going to stay out there for a window, stay with it and live with a friend for a substantial number of weeks, and sleep on his couch. And while I was there, I wanted to get work, and or at least try and open some doors. And the 2 objectives I set was I wanted to get a meeting with Seth MacFarlane, because I wanted to write for Family Guy. I sent them in a pitch script and everything about the hunt for Osama bin Laden, which was a big story at the time. And funnily enough, they did do a sketch about him later on in a cave, but my story, you know, South Park did an episode on everybody selling houses.
Yes.
And you've got all these property shows. It was like that. It was the property show that showed Osama bin Laden's cave, and Osama was selling it because he had to move on because he didn't want people to know where he was. So you kind of had Osama showing you around the cave, but like the style of a property show. And I thought that would be a great episode of Family Guy. And I didn't write the Family Guy characters into it. I wrote other characters that could have been the Family Guy characters. I did that as a spec script and got my agents to send it off. And, and then tell them that I was there and that I wanted a meeting. And they never got anywhere. Tried the same thing with ER. They never got anywhere. And basically they were useless. And, as soon as I got back from that trip, they let me go as well. So I would have fired them anyway because they were rubbish. So, mission unaccomplished. The one thing that did happen on that trip was I met Kirstie Alley. That was nice. I went to see the recording of a new pilot in which she was starring, which later evolved into, I think, Fat Actress or something. And I was sitting near the front, and the pilot didn't have a name, and they kept saying that this show doesn't yet have a name. And I thought, well, I'm going to use this. So I got a notebook out and I wrote out a list of 100 names during the filming of the show while I was watching it. And then I called Kirstie over and I said, I know your show doesn't have a name yet. Here's a list of 100 names I've just written for you. And she was looking down the list and she called the producer over. I don't know who it was. It was some TV producer. And they both started going through the list. And this producer looked up and he went, hey, these are pretty good. I was like, I know, I'm a writer from England. And I had a little chat with her afterwards before we got shown out. And I tried to get a date with her, actually, I think.
Wow. Okay.
I can't remember. It was so long ago, but I think I was proper flirty with her. Okay. She was so lovely. She was such a nice person.
Okay.
So, yeah, hey, man, you only meet these people once, right? So
that is very true. And I mean, I guess it's going to get us into what you actually do with at least the filmmaking part of it. Can you help us understand what goes into the film process from like the initial concept to more or less the finished product?
Endless pain. Endless pain and poverty at the indie level. I mean, dude, that's a question for another stream. Ask me that one when I come back.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's because it's a long answer. I'm going to try and give you a really short answer. I mean, the short answer is a lot of passion and a lot of pain. You won't do it if you haven't got the passion, but you've got to be prepared to go through the pain. And that's the same at the indie level as well as the top, because the difference is that you have more control at the indie level because the studio money is not involved. You don't have executives coming around. So your level of control is much stronger. Now, this is a clip from the last movie I directed. That is actor Nicholas Rowe on the right. We have Simeon Willis in the foreground sitting on the nearest chair. And this is a shot. You can play it if you want. This is a shot of a take where we had to shoot one of the actors. Real blank firing gun, all of that stuff. And I was directing this. This was in June of this year. And this was it's only a short film. It's a 20-minute film, but I had total creative control on the set. I had total creative control of the actors I hired and the crew I hired, but it wasn't my script. And I made sure we stayed as faithful to the script as possible. So, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool for
I don't know if you saw, but he had a squib in his back. So when we shot...
Oh, is that what that was?
Yeah, his back exploded. Yeah.
Oh, that was cool. That's right. So, and that short film is already out, correct? Or it's still being in progress?
No. It's out to the backers, but I think we're gonna drop it on mine and Mauler's channel simultaneously in the new year. But there's going to be a London screening first. So yeah, and people can come to that. Anyone can come to that screening. I think you just buy a ticket and
Nice.
yeah, that's very true. Lots of asking for favors. And I mean, the process for a film, I've spent more hours trying to make films that have never been produced than I have directing on a set in my life. And and I interviewed producer Gail Ann Hurd, and she said exactly the same thing, that she has spent just as much time trying to produce movies that never actually happened, that financing fell through, that they got all the way to literally day one of filming and suddenly the money fell through for whatever reason. And just as much time doing those films as she has the actual films that have got made. So it doesn't just happen at my level, it happens at every level in the industry. Ron Underwood, who directed Tremors and directed City Slickers, who I've also interviewed on my channel, said exactly the same thing. He said he has spent 3 times as much time in his life trying to make films that never got made, as he has directing the films on his resume. So there you go. 2/3 of his life spent trying to make films that never happened. I mean, that's, you know, you got to be tough.
Bless y'all.
You got to be tough.
Sounds like it, man. Wow. Yeah. I'm definitely gonna have to come on and talk to you behind the scenes about like the entire process, because I know that we only typically will see, you know, an advertisement for it via trailer or the movie itself in the premiere. Like we don't see, you know, you guys pitching it to, I guess, the potential producers, to studios, you know, having to find the getting a casting director. I'm just mentioning things that I would think that would go into it, but I know it's probably it's got far more depth than that. So I mean, just God bless y'all.
Yeah.
It sounds soul crushing, because good Lord, I mean, y'all are great for being tough on this, because I don't know if I'd be able to handle that at all.
I mean, one of the great things about the Lord of the Rings movies, and I could talk about them all night, and, you know, thank you, Peter Jackson and his team, is, you know, when you get the box sets, they've got the whole journey of the film from start to finish, with
that's cool.
Every single department behind the scenes.
Wow.
He was very clever with that. He planned all that out, that they would have all this BTS behind the scenes footage being shot at every stage of the production. I think you don't get much on the casting or audition front. There's some audition tapes, I think, but you know, every aspect of the production is there. And good to see you, Joker's voice. Thank you for popping in. So I mean, that's a great. If you want some insight into, you know, how complicated it can be, just watch the making of the Lord of the Rings trilogy. But also it shows you how fun it can be as well. And I mean, they had a lot of fun making that movie. They had a lot of challenges, but they had a lot of fun.
It looks like it will be a lot of fun on there too. Yeah. That's great.
I was jealous watching those making of. I was like, my God, I would have loved to have just been an extra in this. It would have been amazing, you know.
Yeah. So if you don't know much or anything about me, guys, I love horror movies. I'll watch all of them if I can, any of them that you pitch to me. So in lieu of that, you mentioned that horror was one of the genres you have been yet to direct. But you said you've had experience with ghosts. What was that experience? I checked the entire book looking for any follow-up, and I'm like, I must know this story. What happened? What's the ghost experience?
I don't know if I actually did write the story. So we stayed at this cottage in Wales, and it was actually an old vicarage.
Mm-hmm.
And out the back was a grey wall, and it turned out later that grey wall and that enclosed garden area, that used to be a graveyard, but I think it's a bit like Poltergeist. I don't know whether the graves got moved or whether they just got destroyed over time or buried in the undergrowth. And but there was a lot of weird shit that happened at that cottage. We stayed there 2 years running, I think, because it belonged to friends of friends and we could get it really cheaply. And my parents were always looking for a cheap holiday, you know. And but the first time we stayed there, my grandparents stayed with us. And one night I got up to the toilet to go to the toilet. I was probably about 10 at the time, and I saw my grandfather in the hallway, and he kind of went like this to me, and I sort of half went to the loo, half asleep, went back. This did not come up until years later, right? We're talking at dinner on my parents. I was probably a teenager, and my parents suddenly went, "That house was haunted." And I said, "Yeah, I do remember weird shit. Like we would put stuff down like a deck of cards, and then we all wouldn't find it, and then it would turn up in the kitchen or something, and we know that we put it by the fireplace, you know, stuff like that." And they said, "Well, what we didn't tell you was when you said that you went out onto the landing and you saw Grandad, the following day we asked Mormor and Morfar, that's the Danish name for grandfather and grandmother, you know, where the Grandad went to the loo and he saw you, and he was adamant that he was asleep the whole night and he never got up." Now, we found out later that the vicar who used to live there, he hung himself on the staircase where I saw the man who did to me like that, right? And here's the other thing. And it gets worse. So the other thing I can't believe we stayed here twice, by the way. Why did my parents take us back there a second time? What were they thinking? So the other thing that happened, and this must have been on the second trip, I guess, because if it happened on the first one, I can't, even if it was the cheapest cottage in the world, I can't imagine my parents taking us back there. But my mum did like a good deal, you know, she always liked a cheap deal for a holiday. So the door, which led to the garden where the cemetery used to be, was a big door with a big old key and a deadbolt at the top and a deadbolt at the bottom. And every morning my dad came down to have his breakfast. He was always the first one up in that kitchen. There's a big old kitchen table in there. He said the door was open. And he made sure he locked it every night. And every night he came down and that door was open, right? So one night he decided, right, I'm not having this. And it must have been on the second trip. And he sat in front of the door with his book and, you know, a bottle of whiskey or something. And he was, I'm going to sit here and wait to see what happens. And eventually, probably 3 or 4 o'clock, fatigue got the better of him and he fell asleep. And then he was woken up by the draft of the door being open in the morning.
Wow. He never heard any deadbolts.
He just woke up to the sound of it creaking in the wind, and it was open and both the bolts were drawn back. And these are heavy bolts, these were.
Yeah. Oh man.
That is creepy as fuck, man.
That is incredible. Yeah, but Lance, please, man, please make this a movie or a short.
I mean, that could be an interesting film because
I'm already in, man.
Yeah, it could be. You know, I have always wanted to make a horror film. I've written 2, because I'm a freelance script writer. I write scripts for other people. I've written 2 scripts for 2 other filmmakers. One of which nearly got made, and it's I can't remember the name of it now, but it's witches attacking a coach that breaks down. And we used to call it Die Hard on a Coach with Witches. That was our sort of joke that we made about it. And it's a pretty cool movie. That was for Jimmy Boosh, who made a wonderful comedy horror called Cannibals and Carpet Fitters. And then I wrote another one about this couple. It's kind of like Groundhog Day, and it was this couple stuck in the same day, and it's the day that they die. And it keeps repeating, but then you realize that this couple are not who you think they are, and they're actually stuck in this thing because they're being punished. They're in purgatory. So
Oh,
they're
okay.
reliving their worst sin, which was their last day, again and again and again. And there's kind of a big twist. And I wrote that. I came up with that idea for somebody who just told me they wanted a horror film in a house, and then they didn't like the script, and it was a bit of a sore thing actually. This team were a bunch of idiots, and they didn't pay me properly, and
Oh boy.
Jason Fleming stepped in because he wasn't very happy because he owns copyright to everything I write. He is, unbeknownst to anybody, he's always BCC'd into absolutely everything to do with anything to do with my work. So
that's a great friend to have.
In and called them on their bullshit because they tried to make out the idea was theirs, and the idea wasn't theirs. They didn't have any ideas.
No.
So that script is copyrighted, by the way, with the Screenwriters Guild of America to me.
Wow.
So, try and make it without me, you're going to get sued. Yeah. So, but that was, so I have written some horror.
Okay.
But I wouldn't probably, I don't know. I wouldn't make either of those two films myself. But if I was going to write one that I knew I was going to direct, I would know that going in.
Okay.
Because I write a bit differently if I know I'm going to direct something.
I see what you mean.
Yeah.
Okay. Man, that's awesome. I'm looking. At any point, I'm looking forward to it. If you've written it, it'll come out, or you're doing it yourself, or it's a short. Just let me know. Again, I'm already in.
Yeah, I'm going to think about. I haven't thought about making a film about that experience in Wales, and I mean, maybe we could go with the kernel of the story there and embellish it a bit. And, that could be an interesting horror film.
Yeah, especially from the perspective of you being 10 at that time.
Yeah, quite.
Like that. Yeah. I mean, a 10-year-old's like, no. I thought I saw my grandpa. Like, no, that wasn't me. I was asleep. And like, what is he seeing? What's happening in this house? And no one's believing. Like, I would definitely be down to watch that. That'd be awesome. But just
you got my brain thinking. You got my brain thinking.
That's how I do.
Million ideas coming.
Yeah, it's. To me, horror is one of like the few genres that's kind of wide open in terms of being able to tell a story. Like I think once people try to make a movie, they're like, if it's an action movie, it has to be like this movie. If it's comedy, it has to be like this. Horror can be almost about anything as long as some of the scare factors there. You can tell, whatever story you want to, providing like, hey, I'm within this genre, but I'm going to tell this interesting kind of story. So, I mean, what you told me is an interesting perspective on it. Like, especially considering the fact that they went back the second time, I'd love to see that. That'd be awesome.
I mean, yeah, I still can't believe. I know the thing with my grandparents didn't come back the second time.
Okay.
And they also said that they heard a whole load of weird shit. So there was other stuff as well that happened. It was just lots of movement of objects. That was another big thing.
No way.
You put down something here and it would appear over here, and that there was a lot of that going on. So
wrapping everything up here for you. You've more recently gone back to your first love of raving. You know what? And
I've written a book about it. Did I mention that earlier?
Yeah, check it out, guys. I will go back and highlight on here. What's that experience been like? And what tips? You know what? I will say this. What's the experience been like, and how has the community embraced you going back to raving?
I mean, it started with an 80s night called Age Against the Machine, which is a wonderful night run by these two guys called Alex and Alfie. And that's the first Friday of every month in London. And it's for over 30s only. And I'd heard about it before and was planning on going for a long time and just didn't. And in the end, that's me dancing. That's me dancing on Saturday. But that's not at Age, that's at a rave. That's me on stage, because I dance on stage quite a lot with that thing, and I need to be on stage because I can't be dancing next to people with it because it take their eye out, But so I went to Age and I started going to Age regularly, but I was really into early rave music, early house, dance, techno, hard house, trance in the early 90s. I just hadn't been for a really long time. And then a friend of mine said, "Oh, I'm going to this party, but it's a day rave. It starts at 1 o'clock and finishes at 9." And I thought, that sounds really weird. Why would someone go to a dance event that finishes at 9 o'clock in the evening? But okay, actually, when you think about it, and you think, well, I'm in my 50s now. Actually, that makes a lot of sense to me. And it was called Rave Days, and it was run by these two wonderful brothers called John and Lee Reed. And I talk about this in the book because I was writing Silver Screen Journeys when I was on this journey. And then as I finished Silver Screen Journeys, I was thinking, what book am I going to write next? And the whole reason I went back to dancing was because I got diagnosed with severe PTSD, and I talk about why that happened in the book. I won't go into it here. And really, you're sort of going back and dancing and putting myself in an environment where I had to socialize with people that I didn't know, where I had to embrace trust again, because I had terrible trust issues after what happened with strangers and stuff like that. And then that really kind of forced me to confront my PTSD head on. So for me to get up on stage on top of that and dance in front of 500 people, or even 1,000 at something, if you told me I was going to do that 3 years ago, I would have said to you, you're absolutely batshit crazy. There's no way going to be doing. What are you talking about? Dancing on stage at my age? What are you talking about? But yeah, because I used to do that. I used to do that at a club in North London when I was 20, and my mum was a choreographer, and I was pretty good at it. But I
heard about that. Yeah,
just hadn't done it for a really long time. So yeah, and then I just got back into dancing, and now I just can't get enough of it. I go to one pretty much every Saturday. I've just done 5 in a row, and I've got 2 more before Christmas. I'm at Orange this weekend, and then I'm at Frantic Christmas Party the weekend after. They're both day raves, so I'm always back home before midnight.
That's great. That's what you'd hope.
I mean, like people go to the gym 3 times a week. Some people go to the gym 5 times a week. This is my gym. I mean, because I don't go to the gym, I don't have time, and I'm always writing at home, and I'm working, on this project or that project, trying to sort of find a way to, buy that house. We talked about that lottery thing, and and no one's going to get me out of this situation except myself. So I'm constantly pushing myself work-wise. So I don't have a lot of time to do something like go to the gym 4 times a week. I just don't have that time. But I can go to a day rave every Saturday, because I always take 1 day off a week. I always take 1 day off, and that's what I do. I go to a day rave and I dance, and it's because I have a lot of issues with my chest as well, and my breathing. And I was diagnosed as asthmatic this year, actually. Quite late, now I've got an inhaler now, I don't think people get diagnosed with asthma that late. I thought it was something you got really early. And so I find when I'm dancing, it's actually really good for my cardio, it's really good for it, because I can get really short of breath when I'm walking along the street, but when I'm dancing, I'm doing all right. So it's really helpful. And it's been really good for my mental health as well, massively. YouTube was a big plus for my mental health, and I talk about YouTube in both the movie book and in Back to Raving. There's a whole chapter on YouTube in the Back to Raving book, and that was good, but it wasn't really helping my PTSD, but it was just helping me kind of get back out there. Yeah. Connecting with people, giving me dates in the diary.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's
really I came from a very very dark place before this. Kind of went through a really big breakup and suicide attempt, pretty serious one as well, and just my mental health was not good. I really, at the end of 2022, I thought I was going to be dead within a year. I mean, that was my train of thought at the time. And, I mean, here we are. It's what can I say? It's been 2025 has been. I've had a really positive year. It's not all been a bed of roses, but I think for the most, it's been one of the most positive years I've had in probably 20 years. So,
And that,
yeah, highlight being on your channel, obviously.
Yes, I'll take it.
Yeah.
No, I meant Lance, you've been awesome, man. I know that we've got a thing called day shift parties here. I think it might be kind of the same thing for the same age group. It goes from like 5 to 9. But my wife Shira and I were talking about, at some point going to London. And if we do that, dude, we're definitely calling you up, and we're probably down for a day rave. Now that I know it's a day rave, I'm in, man.
Before you schedule the trip, just call me and I will give you the dates of all the best events.
Cool.
Then you can schedule the trip around one of those, and we'll
that
go.
Awesome.
You want to go to one at Coco? I think I sent you a video of a Coco. I think I sent you a video from Orange. That's the one where I'm all dressed in orange, and I'm down the front, and I turn the camera around and I pan up, and you can see everybody dancing on all the balconies above. That's Coco, which was formerly called Camden Palace. It's such an amazing venue.
I would have put that one up. It's slowing my computer down. I got to figure out how to get rid of excess space on here. But yeah, I do have it on there. But
it's all right. You can just show your wife. Oh, thanks, man. That's Proxbar is a great supporter of my channel, and he's also been on a couple of my streams as well. So great guy.
It's great to have people like that on your streams too. But yeah, guys, I mean, in reading Lance's book, Silver Screen Journeys, I was getting back to the point that he was trying to make about the entire book, which was sharing great times in your life with the people that mean the most with you. And I think that's something that we could all do in life in general, especially with our hobbies, things we're passionate about, or things we just want to show someone else a different side of us. Lance, I was going to end this with asking what you've got coming up the rest of this week heading into Thanksgiving, or I guess United States Thanksgiving.
Oh,
what do you got coming up?
We done already? I'm good for a bit longer. But coming up, I've got a great interview coming up.
Okay.
So I have an interview on my podcast on Wednesday. You're going to love this one. I have composer. I got a poster for this, so let me grab it, and you can
go right ahead. Yeah.
I got a composer coming on from the film industry. This is one of the greatest composers of all time. So I got Bruce Brofton coming on.
Wow.
So, Bruce Brofton did the soundtrack for Silverado. He did Tombstone. He did The Boy Who Could Fly. Oh man, he's got like 90 credits, maybe over 100, I think, for film and TV shows. And this is a guy who's been in the industry for a long time. He's in his 80s now. And he did the soundtrack to Young Sherlock Holmes. And of course, I just directed Nick Rowe, who played Young Sherlock Holmes. And Nick Rowe is very much responsible for making this interview happen. And I'm a massive Bruce Brofton fan. In fact, I've got 2 of his soundtracks on vinyl right here. I've got Silverado and I've got Young Sherlock Holmes right here. In fact, my Young Sherlock Holmes has been signed by Nick Rowe on the back when I filmed it. And Silverado is one of my favorite films of all time. Definitely in my top 10. And it's one of my favorite westerns of all time, and I love the soundtrack. It's just a great score, really traditional score, the type that I really like. I mean, I love the soundtrack to Tombstone as well. They're 2 of the best western scores of all the westerns.
And that's that's Wednesday at 4.
It's a Wednesday, and it's at 8 p.m. UK time, which I think is either
2 p.m. Central or 3 o'clock Eastern.
Yeah, Eastern. I think it's like 3 or 4 p.m. something like that.
Nice.
Yeah, because we've just put the clocks back, so I'm all a bit confused about what the time difference is. I have a regular show most Tuesday nights. In fact, pretty much every Tuesday until the end of the year. I have the Nielsen ratings, which is on 10 o'clock my time. We have a group of panelists that come on, and we talk about stuff on Netflix and Amazon and stuff that we, the shows that maybe don't get so much PR that we think you should be watching.
Sure.
And there are some, because we're always complaining about the stuff that's shit. And don't get me wrong, there's plenty of very poor quality television out there, but there's some really good stuff as well. You got to look, you got to dig around a bit. There's a great show that's just come out of Poland called, I think it's called Hawisa. It's the name of a passenger ferry that sank.
Okay. Oh,
and it's an 8-part drama series, true story, and there's very suspicious circumstances about what exactly happened. Were there military explosives on board that went off? There's a number of plot lines that are very ambiguous, and it kind of explores those narratives. And again, the fact that it's a true story makes it, pretty gripping television. In fact, there was another show called Estonia, which was about the sinking of the Estonia, which is another massive maritime disaster. That was the biggest disaster since the Titanic. And they're two very similar shows, but they're also very different. But the thing they have in common is they're both about the sinking of maritime passenger ferries. Both amazing shows. I mean, they're both shows at the same level of... do you remember the drama show about the nuclear reactor meltdown in Russia?
Chernobyl.
Chernobyl, right. And that show became a global phenomenon. Now, part of the reason for that, I think, is it dropped during lockdown, I think.
Oh, true.
I think it came out around the pandemic time. So I think that helped. People were looking for absolutely anything to watch, and I think that helped. But these two shows have got almost no publicity at all, but they're both brilliant television. They're both excellent filmmaking, incredible acting. I've been trying to get the director of Estonia to come on my channel and do a podcast with me, actually, because it just didn't get, the audience it deserved. I don't even think it's on one of the main stream channels yet. I don't think Netflix or anyone's bought it. I'm sure it won't be long in coming, but there are shows like that are out there that deserve to be talked about by a panelist of YouTube's as well, not just 5 people bitching about how shit the actor and it was shit. I mean, don't get me wrong, those shows do deserve the time that they get, but I guess I'm just more interested in, there's a lot of people that do that sort of thing and they do it very well and it's very funny. And I'm good friends with Will, aka the critical drinker, and that's very much kind of his wheelhouse, and Friday Night Tights and stuff like that. But I'm very interested in supporting stuff that doesn't get a lot of PR and giving it a voice and saying to people, hey, you should probably watch this. I mean, there's a great show on the Disney Channel at the minute. I think it was developed by Hulu, but Hulu, if you get a Disney account in the UK, you get Hulu for free. And it's about the shooting of Jean-Charles Domenech by the British police, who accidentally mistook him for a terrorist on the London tube. And he was completely innocent, and they shot him. They murdered him, effectively. And they also then tried to cover it up. They also tried to make out he was a terrorist, which he wasn't. And the whole thing was a fucking disgrace. And they've done a 4-part drama series on Hulu, and it's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant television, fantastic stuff. Again, another true story drama, totally up my street. This is another show again that we talked about a lot on my Tuesday night show. These are again the sorts of shows that people should be getting on YouTube and talking about and encouraging people to watch, because they're fantastic television. We want more stuff like this, We want more stuff of that quality. Not this Sunday night 8 p.m. shit about 4 people that live in the same street and they all get on each other's tits and then they have an argument and someone dies and all the characters are really fucking boring and cardboardish. And I'm referring to something called The Feud, which is just, it's just...
Okay, I thought of 3 other television shows you mentioned. I was like, that's very broad. It's very broad.
I started watching that show, and it was like, I'm sure I saw this show about 2 years ago. It was just called something else. It's basically the same plot, but
same thing.
It's just very boring. There's a lot of kind of not Columbo because Columbo was great, but there's a lot of Columbo style imitator detective shows that are pretty lame. And then you've got fantastic stuff like The Shield, which is all on Amazon at the minute, or it certainly was. You know, one of the best cop shows ever made. The Wire, another great one. So we talk about older stuff as well sometimes. So we cover a lot of older shows and older films from the 70s and 80s and 90s, and we recommend those that you might not have seen, you know. So, and then the other cool stuff of my channel is all the interviews, and I don't just bring on the Bruce Broftons. I will support anyone creative, particularly independent people. So if anybody watches your channel and they're a first-time filmmaker, I had a girl on called King Nikki the other day. Do you know Nadia, who does all the horror stuff? You must know Nadia.
Yeah, Nadia's awesome. Yeah.
So Nadia, I think, saw her short horror film. This girl, King Nikki, is a big horror fan like yourself. And I happened to catch 5 minutes of that interview, and I messaged straight away. I posted under it, "You can come on my channel for an interview anytime. Come on, let's talk about your movie." And the thing I was able to do when I interviewed her that Nadia couldn't, no disrespect to Nadia, is I'm a filmmaker and Nadia's not. So I came at it very much from not an audience perspective, but much more a kind of, I talked to her about casting and all the production stuff. And then I also said, you know, you got a great concept here, but what you do is you reveal your monster too quickly. Like in Jaws, you know, you show as little of the shark as possible for as long as possible. You've got this great girl in this fantastic lizard makeup with these green eyes and these contact lenses, and she looks fucking amazing, but you show her, all of her, too quickly. Very early on in this. You know, it would have been great if we just saw a glimpse of her eye or maybe her hand. Or so, you know, I kind of come at it from almost like a tutor point of view to try and her mum was in the chat when we were doing that, and her mum was like, "This is really good advice," you know, all this stuff I was dishing out. So with the younger people that come on who are sort of more at the beginning of their journey, we're trying to not only just give them exposure, but we're also trying to be here for them. Not just on that interview, but going forward as an entity. The Outcast is here for them to give them advice, because I don't want them to go through what I went through in the industry, where I got ripped off by a lot of bogus producers who ran off with all our fucking finance to make a turd of a film that no one ever saw, which they stole 75% of the budget of, you know, for their wages. So I don't want
to bring you back to talk about that one too.
Yeah, that's maybe for another time, but so you know, I even though I'm nowhere near the top of the ladder, I'm probably somewhere below the middle. I've got a wealth of experience. You gain a lot of experience from failure, right, or trying. And you know, a filmmaker who makes one film and then goes and does a Marvel movie, and then they've got a career after that, supposedly. What's that person going to teach you? I mean, they can maybe teach you how to survive the Marvel movie process and explain to you that don't worry about any of the visual effects shots, because they're all going to have been done before you even come on board to direct the live action, of which there'll be very little, and often the actors will be in their trailers. You won't see them. So, you know, what they can offer, I'm not saying they can't offer anything, but what they can offer will be very different to somebody who's tried and failed to gain finance for 20 films via 50 different routes, or who's, you know, had brushes with individuals like the people I just described, and the do's and don'ts of sending films around film festivals, and why chain film festivals are just a massive con and a waste of time. I mean, I could give someone hours and hours of advice on film festivals alone, you know. So yeah, I've got a wealth of knowledge that I'm very happy to impart to those coming up below me who are going through their own struggles, because I don't want to see them go through the same shit that I went through. I'd be very happy to be one of the people that helps them make it a little bit easier, you know.
That'd be awesome. The world needs more people like you, Lance. So I want to say again, thank you for your time. I know it's pretty late over there, but guys, thank you all for joining us another episode of Left Eye at Night. And if no one has told you today, you matter. For Lance, I'm Left Eye, guys, and we are out.